and in collaboration with our partner, Film Festival Atmosphères. We are going to learn about 8 projects, all of which are at the screenplay stage. The screenwriters are looking for producers and financial backers. So let me explain the rules. Each screenwriter will have 4 minutes, no more, to pitch their project. When they have all finished, it will be the panel's turn to give their feedback. And I would now like to introduce you to our panel of professionals. Rhoda Wainwright from Fiction Changing the World. Jean-François Camilleri, president of Echo Studio. Alissa Aubenque from Calista Film and Ecoprod. Marika Puiseux, showrunner, freelance showrunner, and Richard Pommérat, head of sales of Aubenque TV. So I would like to thank you to all the professionals. Thank you for being here with us today. And if you're ready, let's start with the feature film category with the first project called Even and the Trees, presented by Raphaël Daniel. Please, Raphaël.
Okay, thank you very much, Alain. So, hello everyone. So I'm Raphaël Daniel, and my project is called Ivan and the Trees. And it's the story of Ivan, of course, but also his family. So Ivan is the manager of a big mall. It's his kingdom. He climbed every step of the ladder, starting from scratch. He has reached his goal. But what was his goal? Magnificent house in a luxury estate with an infinity pool. An ideal family that is spoiled with presents and attention. And yet, blinded by his illusion of a perfect family, he cannot see that Penelope, his wife, is close to cracking up, working way too much to avoid a scary feeling of emptiness. Their last son, Gabriel, 6, is living more and more in his inner unfertile world. And Fanny, their daughter, beneath an air of a perfect model girl, is just waiting for one thing, to be 18 so she can run away from a psychotic family. But otherwise, everything is okay in Ivan's world. Until that night. A big storm hits the area. The next morning, when Ivan wakes up, to his great surprise, he discovers trees everywhere. A forest grew in the night all over the country. Luckily, Ivan has a hidden stockpiled Scylla, which will provide enough to survive in the next 3 weeks. But what then? He has an idea. He must go back to the mall to stock up. He convinces his neighbors to join his army of lumberjacks, and they set off, chopping down all the trees they found on their way. During that time, Penelope is stuck at home to look after the children. Of course, she hates the situation of being a desperate housewife, and she's submerged by a deep feeling of uselessness. But she takes a grip on herself and makes sure she's constantly busy, as usual. On her side, Fanny doesn't believe at all in her father's project. She thinks it's nonsense. She tries to tell him, but he doesn't listen, as usual. But she doesn't give up on her idea and builds a village next to the river in harmony with the forest. It's not easy, of course, but little by little it's starting to become a welcoming oasis. People join her, even some lumberjacks who abandon Ivan. When Ivan finds out, he feels betrayed. In addition, Penelope starts to doubt. Ivan is exhausted. He cannot wait for things to return to normal as soon as possible. This forest is driving him crazy. In addition, he vowed to do everything to keep his family safe. But safe from what? And safe from whom? Ivan and the Trees is a fable that shows how social norms and our conditionings lead us to react in a certain way when facing change. Above all, it questions us on how we can evolve or not in front of a world that is changing, as you know, whether we want it or not. This project is the result of a long-time reflection about how to question the audience about their habits and how to get them changed. I'm happy to see that there are more and more storytellers and also producers and broadcasters who want the very same thing. At the moment, I'm preparing a short film with some similar themes, which is called Nique le privé, something like fuck private property, pardon my French. It will be broadcast in the end of the year on Canal+. So if you're curious, please contact me, and thank you very much for your attention. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Raphaël. Thank you.
Thank you.
So let's carry on with the second project called Beyond the Eyes, presented by Amandine François. Amandine,
hi, everybody. Beyond the Eyes is an animation project that addresses sustainable development through the themes of mourning and spiritual awakening. Eden is rather a special boy, since he's much closer to nature than to humans. He had a lot of difficulty to enter into communication with the outside world and prefers to stay in his bubble. At school, since he's very intelligent, he's the whipping boy of everyone, and especially Luca and his gang. And at home, his parents are often absent because they work too much. So Eden has found comfort in his grandfather, where he spends all his free time. And they have created a fusion bond. Eden loves to go to Lestienne because, unlike him, who lives in a cold apartment without soul, without plants, Lestienne lives in a old wooden shack whose interior looks like a cabinet of curiosity and the exterior to a garden of Eden. But above all, Eden is convinced that his grandfather is a magician. Indeed, Lestienne blows on the burns to heal them. He treats people without even touching them and creates potions with the plants of the garden. And for that, Eden admires him enormously. Lestienne even promised him that one day he will give him his secrets of magic. Unfortunately, one night, Lestienne dies of a heart attack. Eden is devastated, but also very angry when he sees his parents get rid of all the magic objects of his grandfather. So he recovers some objects, like Lestienne's glasses. And one evening, as he puts them on, 4 fantastic characters appear. A guide, a guardian angel, a trini, and a fairy. Eden realizes that the glasses allow him to see the invisible, and these characters become his friends. From them on, he had only one idea in mind: find his grandfather. Eden will therefore accost all the invisible beings he encounters to ask them if they have seen Lestienne, in vain. But Eden also meets invisible beings who are not very recommendable, such as a shadow who keeps following him, the dead who are a little lost, or the monster who is locked in his closet. And very quickly, Eden becomes addicted to his glasses and even goes to wear them to school. So obviously, he will pass for crazy and will have to face the eyes of other children. Eden will therefore live exciting and dangerous adventure following the nonsense of his trini angel. He will fight for just causes by standing against adults to save the magic history of Lestienne's garden, discover the workings of invisible world, and suffering the bad blows of Lucia and his bond, he will discover friendship, learn to go beyond his fears and his ego to accept his difference, and thus be accepted by others, finding love in him in order to distribute it to others, love being the secret of his grandfather's magic. Thus, thanks to his spiritual awakening, Eden will lead everyone in his wake. The children, who will go beyond appearances and drop their screens to give way to the imaginary, and his parents, who will review their priority, finally move to Lestienne's house to be closer to nature and give him a little sister. This poetic project will depict all the folklore of the invisible world, but also and above all, will visually deal with all the topics related to sustainable development. It offers two-level reading, encouraging adults to reconnect with their inner child, and will be punctuated with songs. So from this moment, I'm developing the script and looking for a producer.
Thank you, Amandine. Good luck, good luck.
Thank you.
Say the third project is called The Tiny Boss and is presented by Quentin Lestienne. When you want. Sorry, I can't hear you.
Sorry, I forgot to put on the mic.
Okay, start again, please.
Okay, so I'll start again. So my name is Quentin Lestienne. I'm going to talk to you about The Tiny Boss. So this story is a social comedy. And for the moment, I have a treatment for this. So the story is about Pierre. Pierre is a worker in a factory. He's a lead worker, but he's only a leader by the name, and he has no power to make changes because Pierre is a worker who has lots of ideas and propositions that to change the organization of the working system. So he's going to see the boss, but he never gets his ideas in reality. But what he doesn't know is that the company is having great difficulties because of the crisis. This company fabricates aluminum industrial parts for any kind of projects. And the boss, Roland, is having great financial problems, and he's having a heart attack. And when he's at the hospital, Pierre goes to see him, and Roland is completely lost because he doesn't know how to rule his company anymore. And he has the crazy idea to put on Pierre as the boss of the company to save it. So Pierre is very keen, so he accepts it because he thinks maybe he can do it. He has a great common sense, and and also he thinks the system is bad and the man is good, and this is his main qualities that he will do as a boss to make some change for the company. He will has, of course, to fight against the head, the director of the HR, who doesn't want to change anything, and also there's another problem because the son of Roland wants to be the boss of the company, but Roland thinks he's too young and that he has no experience to do it. So he puts him on the training as a training job on the Pierre's machine. So this is the main story of The Tiny Boss. It's just been inspired by some memoirs of Jean-François, who was a leader in a French company and had made one of the first liberated company in the 80s. And I thought it was a great idea to talk about the liberated company because from 2010 it has been a lot more increasing in the world because but it's still very marginal. And I thought it was a good idea to make to write a story in a comedy style like Ken Loach, Full Monty, a bit popular, like the English knows very well how to do it, because the main issue is how to be happy at work, and to talk in also to give maybe some possibilities in a different phase of the capitalism system that we cannot change completely. But the main issue is that the man, if man is good, we can change it and be happy at work. And when you're happy at work, you can think a lot about anything in your life, about the environment. You can take care of a lot of things. So that's it.
Okay, thank you. So you can notice that the projects are completely different. We are going to listen the last project of feature film category. It's called Untitled Chapter, presented by Zinn-Justin. So please, Zinn-Justin, it's your turn.
Thank you. So I'm Zinn-Justin. I'm the writer of Untitled the Flood. It is an ecological thriller with a fantastic dimension. The film is centered on Salome. Salome is in her 40s. She lives alone with her 8-year-old daughter, Emma. and the film takes place during spring in a wine-growing region of southern France. During this unusual spring, storms and torrential rains follow one another, raising fears of catastrophic floods. In fact, nature breaks loose. It's both a symptom of climate change and a revolt against human overexploitation. We are the living that defends itself. Nature here in this film acts as a real character with its own will. The main human character, Salome, is a radiologist in a private center. She meets with a retired wine grower with blackened lungs. He wonders about his responsibility in the death of his wife. She died of blood cancer. And his neighbor's child had declared leukemia. Shortly after the meeting, the wine grower commits suicide. Salome has the soil in his vineyard analyzed. She discovers more than 20 pesticides. One of them, atrazine, was banned in the European Union in 2003. Salome calls on the mayor, but he's more concerned about the risk of flooding than about traces of a banned herbicide in abandoned vineyards. She does not give up. She joins a group of activists, the Savages. They fight against the production on French soil and the export of forbidden pesticides to countries that are less careful, which is legal, as a matter of fact. Joining the Savages revelates the passionate nature of Salome, but to be accepted into the group of the Savages, she will have to prove herself. The consumption of pesticides grows year after year in France. I am a former researcher in human genetics and an environmental, excuse me, I can't pronounce this, activist. I have done a lot of research on the subject. Pesticide pollution is invisible and unspectacular, but pesticides silently contaminate water and land in the long term, like the atrazine, discovered by Salome. It was banned throughout the European Union in 2003, but atrazine is still one of the main pollutants of groundwater and running water in France today. It's real. With this film, I want to portray a woman who needs meaning and will find it in her militant commitment. She seeks to remain in control of her destiny in a world that is crumbling, and she will learn to trust future generations and to trust nature itself. As I heard yesterday or Thursday in a seminar, we have no choice but to be optimistic. I presently have a draft of the film script. I'm meeting with producers. I've directed several short films. We have been writing theater plays. The film draft was selected for residency, for French blacklist, and so I'm meeting with people and also looking for distributors, broadcasters, and funding opportunities. Because I think that if we want to see new stories emerge, we will have to expand the funding options as well. Thanks a lot for your attention.
Thank you very much, Anne. So it's very interesting to listen to your 4 projects are very different. The projects from Atmosphères Film Festival are always commitment with the reality. It's very emotional way to tell the world. So it's important to for ChangeNOW to put a focus on your projects. And now it's turn to listen to our panel. And please, I would like to know your first impressions and your questions about the projects, and if you can help them to develop their stories in some ways. And please, so will Jean-François or Rhoda or Alissa, Richard, Marika, it's your turn.
I have a question for Beyond the Eyes. So that's Amandine. It's an animation. It's an animation project, right?
Yes.
Okay. And do you know what type of animation you're looking for? I guess
it's in questioning because the two worlds are melted. So and as I want to create a poetic movie, I think maybe it could be 2D technique, but melted with 3D. So I'm not really fixed about this. I'm not really.
And why did you choose animation? It's something you come from, or you've done animation before, or just because the story requires it?
The story requires it, and I love animation because we can address it to all public, all the audience, especially children and also adults. So.
Okay, but you haven't done animation before, right?
No, sadly.
On my end, first of all, congratulations. I know it's hard to pitch, especially in English, so well done on that. One question for Raphaël on Ivan, because what is the tone of the movie? What is it going to be like? There's a sense of, is it for family, or is it more horror or thriller? Could go in different directions.
No, it's more like I would tell some dark, fantastic fable, something like that, with also humor. Maybe in some David Lynch style. That's what I like. But sometimes there is humor, you know, because the situations are weird. Mm-hmm. But in the beginning, you start with a film more like a family movie, but little by little, you're going in something darker. But and also with the village, something brighter, but with the first character, something more and more dark. And so I really like when you move from one genre to another in films. And in my short film, it's a bit the same. So I don't know if I answered your question.
Yeah, so more adult, less family oriented.
Actually, it's more adult, but I think it can be a film, for adolescents and adults.
Oh, David Lynch is a good pointer to what kind of movie.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Thank you.
Thanks.
I can jump in if you want, Alan. So thank you, everyone, for your great pictures. I know it's not so easy, but they are very inspiring and interesting to see how your stories are absorbing the society and what we're living on at the moment. So maybe I wanted to point something. It's more global to each pictures. It's about diversity. I think we should not forget about talking about the diversity and inclusion of minorities. Either it's social, either it's cultural, origin, LGBT, or whatever. I think we have to show the French society, we have to push the limit. And as I heard from another panel earlier, sometimes we're really far away from representing the society as it is now. So I think we really should push the limit in some way to unlock our abilities to be more creative and more innovative and not to be afraid to put that in the stories. I think the young audience is really expecting to show, the reality they are living. And in the same way, we're talking about eco-responsibility, eco-producing behind and in front of the camera. I think we should do the same thing in terms of diversity. It has to be in front of the camera and also behind of the camera with the team we're working with. So yeah, that's global to every picture, every story, I think.
Okay, great.
I wanted to jump in also on the pictures. Thank you very much. I love how you all try to use different genres to tackle very important subjects. And I feel like every project is very different, but you all talk about important subjects without necessarily putting them in the center of your story. So this is what I think is really interesting. And I also love the idea of having unusual characters like the trees and the imaginary creatures. And I wanted to ask Anne, because you talked about having the nature as a character, which I think is really interesting. And I was wondering, I'm not sure if you are also the director of the film, but I was wondering if you could tell us a bit about how you think you will show it, or how it will be shown on screen, how you will personalize the nature.
I also will be the director of the film. Yes, alors, I haven't talked about the ending. The point is she's fighting against forces that are far more powerful than she is. So she has a small victory, but a small one, with little people falling, but not the industry. And she's blocked at a certain point. But she's not alone. She's not alone because the forces of nature, who have been given sign during the whole film, at the moment where she's blocked, the nature takes its turn and takes the control, the lead. So without telling the ending, because I don't think it's a good idea if someone wants to really to tell the ending, at a certain point, when she's completely blocked, the nature takes the control and reminds everybody that she's the one, she's the main force. We are not the main force, even if we think so. So we will see it because it's natural forces. I mean, we don't have a character, a nature who is coming here and talking, and no, we'll see some sort of normal things, but who are acting with a conscious will, and will eliminate in a certain way the dangerous forces at the end.
Okay, Rhoda, I don't know if you want to say something.
Thank you.
Okay. Can you hear me, Rhoda?
Sorry, my mic. I'm very
okay. Don't worry. No, don't worry.
Yeah, I'm going to be brief because I mostly agree with everything that's been said by my peers before. Congratulations, and I'm really pleased to see all the different genres and approaches you're taking. We have to, I believe we have to run away from just apocalyptic narratives on these important issues, and I'm happy to see that you're doing this. And also, just as like a general piece of advice from my humble position is like when we're tackling important messages and important issues beyond the fiction that we're telling, I would like really emphasize that on my pitches to producers. Like, this is a great story because of all these creative and narrative elements, but it also goes beyond because of these issues that we're tackling or these messages that we convey. I really think it's brilliant that Anne is also an expert. She's talking about what she's done a lot of research about it. She's an expert on pesticides. And if you're tackling scientific issues in your stories, or you're doing some research, surround yourself with the experts that can lend you a hand on developing your stories in that direction with the right and rigorous data, and the right input from them. So congratulations, everybody. Really like your pitches.
Oh, thank you. I don't know if you have some questions for our panel. No? Okay. And the screenwriters, have you got some questions for them? Okay. Yes, Anne?
Yeah, I wanted to ask you if you think that these subjects may this project can be an international project, interesting countries outside of France.
Oh, yes. Well, I certainly do think it's a story that and people can relate to anywhere in the world. No, we all live about it. We all have agriculture systems. We all live. We eat all these products if we're eating toxic pesticides, or that's a concern for everybody. I do believe it's a local story that can be relatable anywhere. You know?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Yes, Quentin?
No, it's not about. It's just because we didn't hear of the project of Kevan Stevens. So I was wondering.
Alain, there's a project called Full Sun.
Sorry, excuse me.
Full Sun. We didn't hear Full Sun.
Full Sun. Full Sun. It's the next.
Well, it's not a series. It's a feature film, right?
No. Sorry, it's a mistake. Full Sun is a series, and we have 4 feature film and 4 series project. Sorry.
Okay.
It's a mistake.
No, I was just thanking the panel for their suggestions they gave.
Okay. So let's carry on with now the series project, and now it's the turn to listen to the project presented by Kevan Stevens, Full Sun.
Okay, hello, good morning everyone. So my name is Kevan Stevens. I'm author of a comics book with a Delcourt edition now, and I'm currently working, among other projects, with Frank Mancuso and Endemol Shine in a big show series. Full Sun is a 6 episode of 52 minutes. It's an ecological and comedy thriller dedicated to a family audience. This is the story of a family, the Fontaine, living in Paris in a 2 tiny apartment of 50 meters with 3 children. Nico, the father, is proud of his family, very resourceful, and Sophie, the mother, experiments new planting garden techniques in her balcony. She wants to offer a better and bigger life for the children and all the family. One day, fortunately, they inherit from an aunt she doesn't know, a very big and nice house, but very old and with big problems, but with a huge garden too and a lot of sun. But the dream may fall apart because there are cracking in the basement and the house is going moldy. So, for Nico, there is no problem, but he wants to repair, but he doesn't know how. And Sophie doesn't want to, but she knows. They try to sell the house, but it's impossible. And the lack of money. So very soon they meet Marcus Langholm. He is a commercial in renewable energies and wants to sell them solar panels. Nico is very excited with this new business possibility. He puts all the money left in this new business, but the material is too old. This is obsolete and too old Chinese material of panel solar systems. So the family it begins to crack. And thanks to Sophie, she wants to put all the family together. That's a new problem comes with the brothers, the arriving of the brother Mark. He wants his share of the money of the inheritance. The problem is how Nico and Sophie can come out on top and preserve the couple, preserve the love, preserve the family, with humor, with tension, with pleasure. This is the problematic of the neo-rural, the hope, the expectation of the renewable energy, but the disillusions and the limits too, in a concrete way. We are going to meet all the problems of the family with the children, the young girl, Lila, who discovers her homosexuality, the problem with the neighbors. This is the purpose of this show. This is a comedy, drama, family, with all this panel, this new energy, sun energy of the panel systems, and how to concrete this way. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevan. Thank you. So very interesting project, and we have to carry on with the next one. It's called Green Power, and it's presented by Philippe Enola.
Okay, thank you. Let's go to Green Power. Imagine building ecological houses at low cost in poor areas by 3D printing from natural materials. This is quite audacious, no? And to do it in French Guiana, in a small town near the jungle, it seems almost utopian. However, this is what Marie-Jeanne, 30 years old, wants to do in her native land, which she had left 15 years earlier. And there, the difficulties really start. First of all, the population is not very aware of the ecological issues. There are also the administrative rules, sometimes aberrant in the local context. Misogyny too, which would forbid a woman to be a leader. Fortunately, she managed to convince a rather brilliant engineer, but who spends too much time playing with the 3D printer. An architect, but who falls in love with her, and she doesn't. A man specialized in ecological investments, but who expects profitability and rapidly. So on the project level, it's going to be hot. And on a personal level, it's not much better. In the small city of her childhood, Marie-Jeanne finds back her mother, Lestienne, with whom the relationship is already complicated and quickly becomes conflictual. Especially because Marie-Jeanne brings along a 10-year-old girl, adopted a year before, and whom Lestienne has never seen. Despite all, the project advances and makes speak about it. This attracts the attention of a man named Innocent, and we can say he's not very well named. He's dishonest, opportunistic, and Marie-Jeanne's old boyfriend. He would like to win her back and make all the benefits he can. But no way for Marie-Jeanne. First, because she's attracted to a young Native American woman, ardent defender of the jungle. Then, also because Innocent is linked to a heavy secret. If it were revealed, it would plunge the family even more into chaos. Nevertheless, after a lot of hard work, the first house is ready to be built. And there, Marie-Jeanne discovers that the investor makes his money from polluting industries behind greenwashing. Her mother Lestienne knew this and said nothing. This is too much for Marie-Jeanne. She's fed up with being dependent on others. So she wants to take the power. And this begins with running for mayor of the town. But who is the current mayor? Lestienne. Green Power is a serial comedy with a lot of obstacles and twists based on social, environmental, and strong human issues. By presenting an innovative technological project, ambitious but possibly real, carried by a story that gives smile and hope. And this through characters who are mainly women, who do not need men to exist and fight for the causes they believe in, without hesitating to shake, break the codes, and take the power, the green power. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you. Thank you. Very interesting, Philippe. And yes, I Hope is important. A smile, my smile too. Yes. So now we have 3 people to present the next project, OK Boomers, and it's presented by Marie-Sophie Gandy, Elsa Mané, et Eloïse Le Priol. Please.
Thank you, ChangeNOW. Thank you, Alain, for introducing us. Hi, everybody. So we are Elsa, Marie-Sophie, and Eloïse, and we are here to present you our TV show project called OK Boomers. So here we wondered as screenwriters, what can we do to challenge the way we talk about ecology in TV shows? How do we portray the energy of our young generation in all its diversity? And in other words, how do we simply make a change? So we strongly believe in the power of representation, and as young creators, we decided to tackle a very serious subject through comedy. It is eco-anxiety. Eco-anxiety refers to the persistent worries about the future of Earth and the life it shelters. It is a very, very special and serious mental issue, I must say, but let's be honest, humor is best when it is serious. So this is how OK Boomer was born, and now the story with Marie-Sophie.
Thank you, Elsa. So we created this 8 times 20 minutes comedy TV show following the path of Gabrielle, inspired by many testimonies. So who's Gabrielle? Gabrielle, 25, is a brilliant and very determined, let's say fierce, young woman. She is finally ready to replace her grandfather at the helm of the family's industrial business. When she is given her first big project, a huge water amusement park called Water City, she begins to suffer from daily severe panic attacks. She is diagnosed eco-anxious. The question is, will she be able to cure her eco-anxiety and come out as a proud ecologist without destroying the dreams her grandpa placed in her? For Gabrielle, suffering from this syndrome is obviously very problematic. She has obsessive thoughts about climate change, insomnias, and most importantly, it seems that the words demolition, deforestation, and even cement mixer freak her out completely. In order to get better, Gabrielle secretly joins an eco-anxious support group in a community center. There, she meets strong and, let's say, very colorful people, and also as determined as her. And soon, Gabrielle discovers this eco-anxious group is in fact a secret mutiny and learns how to riot and make big noise. But this is not enough, because when the community center receives an eviction letter by the construction company in which Gabrielle works for, the militant group decides to fight back. They now need to actively sabotage the most polluting construction site in the region. Prisoner of a snowball effect, Gabrielle is now sabotaging her own family project.
Well, thank you, Marie-Sophie. So with this story, we wanted to tell how difficult it is to live with our deep values when the whole society around us pushes us to repress them. We wanted to show the emergency of a turnaround with this character of Gabrielle, who will go from one extreme to the other and assume her radicalism. This title, OK Boomer, is obviously a wink to our parents, our grandparents, our bosses, and mostly ourselves, because in some way, we all maintain lazy positions against the resistance and against the strong will of this young generation who desire to change these old systems that falls apart, and to which Gabrielle still belonged, because long, short story, Gabrielle is the boomer. We are right now at the TV Bible stage, and we're looking for a house production. So if you have any questions or want more information about the project, we will be very happy to Zoom you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, OK Boomers. Thank you. It's a very nice project. So I don't know if Arthur Keller is here with us.
I am.
Yes. Oh, great, great. Just in time. Thank you, Arthur. So because you are the last, you have the last project to present, It's called Twice as Bright. And please, Arthur, it's your turn.
Okay, so Alain, Alissa, Marika, Rhoda, Jean-François, Richard, thanks for giving me this opportunity today. My name is Arthur Keller. For a little while, I was a screenwriter. It was more than 10 years ago. But I'm also an expert specializing in the limits of the Anthropocene, the systemic vulnerabilities of modern societies, most of which are not understood very well by leaders or pretty much everyone else, and the strategies also that exist to build collective resilience. We need change now, and triggering change on a large enough scale requires a cultural revolution. It requires that many people, most people if possible, change the way they see the future. The great awakening the world needs won't happen without powerful stories to reshape how people envision what's possible and what isn't, or no longer is, what they can't achieve, and of course what they can achieve. Hence this project. It's called Twice as Bright, as in the candle that burns twice as bright burns half as long. It's a quote from Lao Tzu. Takes place in between 2025 and 2030. It's a tale of a world that's lived in overshoot for too long. So there's less and less energy and resources and more problems to deal with. And tipping point after tipping point, the whole system goes mad, it crumbles faster and faster, and eventually crashes. And it gets all the more chaotic as this scenario wasn't properly anticipated, despite warnings from a few people, among whom we find our main character. Twice as Bright tells a story of an array of characters with interconnected storylines. Many of them are just regular people who are going to have a role to play. The series shows many different versions of what can happen in communities, depending on whether those communities had developed some resilience beforehand or not. And those who had already built sustainable alternatives become new leaders in their own way, for better or worse. So it shows how people react during these troublesome events, their problems, their fears, sorrows, and hopes, their strategies, conflicts, their psychological flaws, their moral dilemmas. Some pull through, some collapse. Many fight for themselves, some fight for a just cause or to preserve fundamental issues, values, I would say. Some become monsters, others heroes. It's a hero's journey. It's an exhilarating epic, a tough yet profoundly human story of our time and what may be looming ahead. The worst, but also the best that people can do, can give, can be. It's at the same time harsh, really harsh, and somehow poetic. It's about what you may lose if you behave individualistically, and also if you treat nature with contempt. It's also about what people may learn when they come together, and also when they respect nature. It's about resilience, and at the end of the day, dignity. And it's not a dark piece of art, it's dark and bright at the same time. It's the very power of the storytelling has to do with the contrast between those two sides of the same coin. When you're in the dark, fragments of brightness look twice as bright. I'm almost done writing the show's Bible and the script for the pilot episode. I'm in touch with a movie star, an actual movie star, who had a crush on the project and is waiting to read that script. And I'm looking for a producer who will make this project happen. Someone who will understand what I'm trying to achieve here. It's not just a TV series, it's a tool, it's a lever to reach millions and catalyze mobilization and change towards less unsustainable lifestyles and a more resilient and decent world for everyone. It's an ambitious project, and I believe an important one, for which I need someone who's not afraid of the challenge, who shares the vision, and someone with true convictions, the desire and will to make an actual difference in the world. That's it. So thank you very much for listening. I hope you like it, and we can talk again soon.
Thank you, Arthur. Thank you. So, and now I would like to listen to our panel. If you have some questions, as you can see that the projects are very different, and it's exciting to listen to you because you pitch with your heart, and we can see different temperaments and personalities. So congratulations to all of you. And now, please, have you some question for the screenwriters, please? So, who doesn't want to know to start?
I have one question.
Sure.
So first of all, congratulations, because I feel like it's always more tough to pitch a series since it's so complex and there are so many characters. And I feel like, yeah, you've done a really good job, so thank you. And I also really like that 3 of the projects were comedies, because I feel like humor is a very good tool to, well, to make people change the way they see the world and inspire them to change. And I have one question for Philippe, for Green Power. You said that the show was set in French Guiana, which I think is very interesting, and I was wondering why you chose that that setting. Is there a specific local topic that you wanted to tackle in the project?
Well, the French Guiana is not really known even by French people, and this is a real special land with very great diversity. It's quite of a melting pot of population, and there are very many things to see and to discover, with a huge gap. For example, in Guyana, there are the highest technology with spaceship Ariane, and there are very big poverty. An expression says the spaceship goes to the sky, but Guyana stays on the floor, for example. So there are many stories about people, diversity, which can be shown and in this land, but which are very big, than much bigger than only Guyana issues.
Okay.
Thank you to all. I have a question. Actually, it's a question which could be asked to many of you. So I'm going to take, for instance, okay, boomers. Why are you choosing the format of a TV series instead of a 90-minute movie, for instance?
First of all, because we have a lot of characters, and we feel that we have the time, more time in TV shows to portray them and follow their path, and also inject lots of comedy that we can identify to the characters maybe more easily, and also because we really love TV shows. It's an exciting way to enter a world. Yeah.
And it's also with the target of people. We want to talk to a young audience, if I may add to what Marie-Sophie said.
Let me jump into the target. I think it's so important, the target. We have, I mean, it's common for all projects, especially TV series. Don't forget to think about your target. Yeah. Who do you want to have in front of your screen? Is it a family? Is it a Gen Z, 15, 35 years old, as the streamers and the platform are looking for? And how the message you have in your story will resonate with the target you're aiming. And it's the same in terms of culture, and it relates to Anne's question before, how my story will travel through different culture to provoke, some things and change mine and influence behavior. Either it's a French people, it's a French-speaking community, or it's a global community. And when you write, I think you still have to have that always in mind, to be really consistent in the product, in the stories and in the show you want to offer. And I agree, it's a real question. Should we do a feature film or should we do a series? What's the format? Is it a mini-series? Is it a repeatable series? What's going to be the duration? What's the best duration with the stories I want to tell? If you want to target young people, obviously comedy is interesting, but what's the best also rhythm in the story?
Yeah, I was going to say for the format is the same thing. I think what was quite good is that you have the story, but also you all had the intro, a bit more the context, so that was quite interesting to set the tone. But yeah, for me, I was always saying, what's the format? Is that, how many episodes, what will be the direction? Because you kind of shows how much you guys want to talk about, what how much you want to develop the storyline. So even if it's just a preliminary one. It's always better to have this, also in matter of budget too, you know, just wondering about that. And also for Arthur, definitely it was very interesting, and I would love to discuss more about, you know, what's going on, because maybe I want to know more, because what's the finality there? What's the end game of the project? I had the feeling that there is going to be some transition. People are going to react differently to the situation. That will be the, you know, the starting point. But where are we going? You know,
What's the end point? That's the question, right?
Yeah. I mean, is it that we are banding together to I don't know, change society, fix it up again, improve it, go back to a normal stage, but still not perfect, you know, or?
No, well, the idea, first of all, and that's the reason why, to answer the former question as well, that's the reason why I chose a TV series instead of a feature film. It's because there are many storylines I want to tell in one world, so they're coherent, you know, it's one same world, it's not parallel universes. Anyway, it's very different trajectories depending on different characters in some cities, in the countryside, and in other places. So you have very, you know, different trajectories, and they intersect, of course, to some extent, and they have shared stakes. But the thing is that there's a whole variety of stories that I want to tell, to show people what may happen for the best or the worst, depending on what we do. And so, as I said, it's not a dark scenario. It's not a bright one either. It's both at the same time. At the beginning, it goes bad, from bad to worse. And actually, it starts pretty bad. And then progressively, as it gets darker and darker, it also gets brighter and brighter. There are emergences, not emergencies. There's some things are emerging that are interesting to put forward. And we see how people indeed, in some places, come together, join efforts, and decide to build something else. It's not about going back to what was before, because it's impossible. But it's about doing the best they can with what still exists, and with the people around them, and the nature, and relearn how to live in balance with a natural world, instead of just exploiting it without limits. It's also about that. So, but it's manifold. I don't know if I've answered the question correctly. At the end, let's say that a part of the story is about reinventing society, and but also it's about how to prevent the worst from happening. The worst being not a crash of society as we know it, but it's about stopping some ideologies to take power in this general framework. Basically, how to stop dictatorship from setting place, and to learn to live together in dignity. I hope I answered the question.
Okay, very complete answer. Rhoda, do you want to say something?
The mic.
The mic, Rhoda.
Sorry again. I have one question for Arthur too, because I think I kind of understand all the other stories. It was very well portrayed. Congratulations on your pitches. I believe I will like to see all of your series. But Arthur, why 2025? Do you believe this collapse is going to happen that fast?
So I'm not. Well, okay. So you say this collapse. I actually didn't use that word. I said things that, you know, resonated the way. Okay, some people may think it's a general collapse. It's actually not. It's just an energy and material descent. There is less and less energy and material, and in some places it is a collapse, because in some places people just didn't pay attention to that, didn't anticipate, and they just found themselves taken by surprise by what happened, and they were not prepared. And in other places, people are prepared. But there are different ways of preparing. You have survivalists. You have people from the right wing who prepare by, hoarding food and having bunkers and having weapons. And there are people who prepare in another way, like, transition towns and Rob Hopkins kind of style, and different kinds of preparations as well. So you have the people who didn't prepare, and that those who prepared, but they're very different. And so all those trajectories are not the same. I also want to say that it's not just about juxtaposing different trajectories. As I said before, they intersect, but it's more than that. It's really interlinked from beginning to the end. It's actually sort of one big story, with different subplots that unfold. And so that is that an answer to your question?
Yes, it did. Yeah, thank you, Arthur.
Okay.
Thanks, Rhoda.
Okay, I don't know. It's we have to finish here the pitching session. But if you have some questions for our producers, please. It's the right moment. Okay, maybe.
Can I just say something? I would like to stress the fact that, and we just had a impact session before, all of your topics and movies and series are touching on a very important thing, which is about change now, of course. And I think that you need to also take this into account and try to think about an outreach campaign when you're writing everything you're writing, and when you're developing everything you're developing, and think about what is the best way. And in a way, it's coming back to what Marika was saying. But what is the best way to talk to your audience and to convince them to take action? Because what you do is not only TV series or movies, they are really like impact series, impact movies. So don't forget to think about how your movie or your TV series could be used to change the world.
Exactly. Thank you very much, Jean-François. I think it's the biggest message we can send to today in the Change Now, and I hope this project will be soon on screen, the big screen, or the little one, or the little one, but on screen, to share your vision of the world, and just to feel the same energy, and to smile, to live with your characters, and please carry on writing. And now I would like to thank you, all of you, our panel, Rhoda Wainwright, Jean-François Camilleri, Alissa Aubenque, Marika Puiseux, Richard Pommérat. Thank you very much. And you, screenwriters, Raphaël, Amandine, Quentin, Anne, Kevan, Philippe, Marie-Sophie, Elsa, Eloïse, Arthur. And we hope you have enjoyed hearing all the pictures, and I would like to wish the 8 screenwriters, 8 more than 8, the best of luck. And I hope there's somebody here today that has connected with each of your stories and will be interested in helping you bring them to the big screen. Thank you very much, and don't miss the new edition of the Call for Projects from the Atmosphères Film Festival. And please find all the information in the Atmosphères Film Festival website. And I would like to thank you, Laurence Lafito, Pascal Signolet, and Marie-Lou Signolet, who helped me to organize this fantastic and very great, nice pitching session. So good luck, and please, producers, if there is one project you are interested in, and tell me, and yes, exactly, I put in touch, okay? Because that's why we're here. We are here to help the project. So thank you, and have a good day. And
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Bye.
Thank you.